Number 20-057-06, application for the excess deferred income tax amortization between January 2019 through March 2020. Number 20-057-07, pass-through application for an adjustment in rates and charges for natural gas service in Utah. And number 20-057-08, application for an adjustment to daily transportation imbalance charge. Before we go on, is the court reporter on?
I am here yet. Kelly Peterson.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you. My name is Yvonne Hogle, and I am the Commission's designated presiding officer for this hearing. Let's take appearances, please.
This is Jennifer Clark. I'm appearing on behalf of Dominion Energy Utah, and I have with me two witnesses for the company. Jordan Stevenson will serve as the company's witness in dockets 20-057-06 and 20-057-08. And I also have with me Jessica Ibsen, who will serve as the company's witness in docket number 20-057-07, the pass-through docket.
And
Thank
this
you.
is Justin Jetter with the Utah Attorney General's Office. I represent the Utah Division of Public Utilities. Excuse me. And this morning, the division would like to sponsor two witnesses. For the docket ending in 06, the division witness will be J.J. Alder. And for the two dockets ending in, excuse me, I've reversed that. For the 06 docket, Jeff Einfeld will testify for the division. And for the 07 and 08 dockets, J.J. Alder will be the division's witness.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jetter. All right. Does Dominion Energy wish to call all of the witnesses for the three dockets at the same time, or at the beginning of the proceeding, or do you wish to break them out a certain way?
I think it would be most efficient because Mr. Stevenson is addressing two different dockets. I think it would be most efficient to let him testify first and then have him followed by Ms. Ibsen, and then to address the division's witnesses, if that works for everyone else.
That works great for us.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful.
Any other preliminary matters before we get started?
I apologize, not from the company.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Clark, please call your first witness.
The company calls Jordan Stevenson.
Good morning, Mr. Stevenson.
Good morning.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Clark, you may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, can you please state your name and business address for the record?
Yes, Jordan Stevenson, 333 South State, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84111.
And what position do you hold with Dominion Energy, Mr. Stevenson?
I'm a manager of regulation.
I'd like to turn your attention to the application in docket number 20-057-06, the Tax Sur Credit 3 docket. Was the application in that docket prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes.
And do you adopt its contents as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company would move for the admission of the application and accompanying exhibits in docket number 20-057-06.
Okay. They are admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks with this application?
Yes. In this docket, the company seeks to extend the Tax Sur Credit 3 for 12 months beginning on June 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, and to adjust the tax surcredit rate over the same period. In its order in docket number 19-057-02, the Commission specified that a total of $6 million should be returned to customers through the extension of Tax Surcredit 3. This amount represents excess deferred income tax amortization entries through February of 2020. Beginning on March 1st of 2020, the base DNG rates have been updated to include the amortization of EDIT going forward. This extension of Tax Surcredit 3 results in a $2.56 decrease to typical customer's annual bill, or 0.39%. The company notes that its application in this docket did not address how to handle any potential difference between the planned credit amount and the actual amount that is amortized to customers at the end of 12 months ended May 31st, 2021. To ensure that the appropriate amount is ultimately returned to customers, the company proposes that a true-up between the planned amount and the actual amount credited to customers be performed and any difference be included in the first infrastructure tracker filing in the fall of 2021. Including a true-up amount in the infrastructure tracker filing will ensure that all classes are allocated a portion of the true-up appropriately. The Tax Surcredit 3 extension and adjust reasonable and in the public interest, and the company requests the extension be effective June 1st, 2020, and this concludes my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. I'd like to turn your attention now to 057-08, the Transportation Imbalance Charge Docket. Mr. Stevenson, was the application in this second docket prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes, it was.
And do you adopt the contents of this application also as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company moves for the admission of the application and accompanying exhibits in docket number 20-057-08.
They are admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks with this application?
Yes. In this docket, the company seeks to adjust the transportation imbalance charge to reflect the costs of supplier non-gas services used by TS customers for the months ended March 31st, 2020. Over that period, the company experienced a total net imbalance of 3.6 million decatherms from TS customers on its system. The company managed this imbalance at a cost of approximately 22 cents per decatherm. Consistent with the methodology ordered in docket number 14-057-31, the company proposes that the total balancing costs incurred be collected from TS customers whose imbalance exceeds 5%. This results in a transportation imbalance charge of 7.834 cents, which is a 7.7% reduction from the current imbalance charge in place. This rate adjustment is just, reasonable, and in the public interest, and the company requests that this rate take effect on June 1st, 2020. And this concludes my summary.
Mr. Stevenson is now available for cross-examination or commission questions.
I have no questions from the division.
Okay, thank you. I guess I just wanted a clarification in your testimony regarding the 06 docket and your testimony on that testimony. Did you say that this was the first time that the parties heard about the true-up that DEU is proposing? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. In our original filing, we did not address how to handle any difference at the end of the 12 months of this Credit 3. So we would propose that a true up be performed, and there likely will be a difference, or there will be a difference. It's not a question. So we think that difference can be handled by creating an adjustment tracker following the conclusion of the CERT credit.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you.
Ms. Clark, do you want to call your next witness?
I do. Thank you. The company calls Jessica Ibsen.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Ibsen. Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Ibsen,
You may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Ibsen, can you please state your name and business address for the record?
Jessica Ibsen, 333 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah.
And what position do you hold with Dominion Energy?
Regulatory Analyst 3.
Ms. Ibsen, was the application in docket number 20-057-07 prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes.
And do you adopt its contents as your testimony today?
Yes.
The company would move for the admission of the application in docket number 20-057-07 and accompanying exhibits.
They are admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Ibsen, can you please summarize the relief the company seeks in this application?
Yes. In pass-through docket number 20-057-07, Dominion Energy respectfully asks the Utah Public Service Commission for approval of $428,381,603 in Utah gas cost coverage. This represents an overall decrease of $10,891,000. The components of this decrease are first, a decrease of $9,171,000 in commodity costs, and second, a decrease of $1,320,000 in supplier non-gas costs. Included in this filing is the commission ordered change from docket number 19-057-02 to use a new method for allocating supplier non-gas cost customers, which includes allocating peak hour contract costs to transportation customers. This request does not change the existing commodity amortization that was established last fall in docket number 19-057-18. The company is also requesting an amortization of the undercollected SNG costs. The SNG balance is slightly undercollected from expected levels at the end of March by $962,115, which leads to the debit amortization charges shown on Exhibit 1.5, page 6. In addition, the company is also including the unprotected EDIT on the purchase gas agreement totaling $1,083,300. This will be established as a credit amortization of 0.972 cents per decatherm over the period of 1 year beginning June 1, 2020. This credit will be listed as a separate line item on customers' bills and is identified as Tax Reform CERT Credit 4. The cost of purchased gas was developed using forecast gas prices from both Pura Energy Group and Cambridge Energy Research Associates. If this application is approved, a typical GS customer using 80 decatherms per year would see a decrease of $8.27 or a total annual decrease of 1.28%. These rates are just, reasonable, and in the public interest. Therefore, we request the rates proposed in commodity and SNG be allowed to go into effect June 1, 2020. That concludes my summary.
Ms. Ibsen is available for cross-examination and commission questions.
And this
Mr.
is Justin
Jetter?
Jetter. I don't have any questions from the division. Thank you.
And I guess I just want a clarification. Ms. Ibsen, initially you, in the amounts that you testified to, the 9.171 million decrease and the $1.32 million decrease, that adds up to 10.4 million, but then you quoted a $10.8 million number. Can you help me understand the math there?
Let me just pull up this. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at something because I'm
No problem. Take your time. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the amount. Does it have to do with a peak?
so it does.
New peak rate? Okay.
So that is right. So there is an error in my total impact of the decrease. So if you do add those two numbers together, you have a decrease of $10,491,000. And the calculation I was using to come up with the total amount of the overall decrease in our model was not including the new allocation to the transportation service classes. So that is the reason why there is a difference.
Okay, so what is the amount that DEU is requesting in this application with respect to these adjustments? What is the correct amount?
The correct amount is $10,491,000.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Mr. Jetter, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Ms. Ibsen, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jetter? Oh, excuse me, Ms. Clark, do you have anything else?
Nothing further from the company. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jetter.
Thank you. Before I call the division's first witness, I misspoke in our initial introduction of the division's witnesses. The division will actually have 3 witnesses we'd like to sponsor today. So Jeffrey Einfeld for the 06 docket, and excuse me, make sure I get the numbers correctly on these.
Okay.
For the pass-through docket, the 07 docket, AJ Alder, and for the 08 docket for transportation, the division would like to sponsor Vanna Venjamuri. I'm hoping I'm getting close to pronouncing that correctly, and I'll have her correct my pronunciation when I call her as a witness.
And can you just spell her last name, if you don't mind, for the reporter? I understand that you're not going to call her first, probably. Is that right? You're going to call
No.
Mr. Einfeld. Okay.
It is VENJAMURI. And Vanna, are you on the line with us?
Yeah, I am on here.
Hi. Could you pronounce your last name correctly for us?
It's Venjimuri.
Benjimuri. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Mr. Jeter.
okay, and so if you'd like to do it like the company witnesses, we could call and swear in the 3 division witnesses and then go through the docket.
Let's do that.
Okay, so the division would like to call and have sworn Jeff Einfeld, J.J. Alder, and Vanna Venjimuri.
Great. Mr. Einfeld, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Alder, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Ms. Venjimuri, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Jeter, call your first witness.
Thank you. Mr. Einfeld, would you please state your name and occupation for the record?
My name is Jeffrey S. Einfeld. I'm a utility technical consultant with the Division of Public Utilities.
Thank you. And in the course of your employment with the Division of Public Utilities, and this is with reference to docket number 20-057-06, the application of Dominion Energy Utah to account for excess deferred income tax amortization between January 2019 and March 2020. Did you have an opportunity to review the application filed by the company and interact with the company with further data requests in that docket?
Yes, I have.
And did you prepare and cause to be filed with the Commission comments from the Division of Public Utilities dated May 18th, 2020?
Yes.
And will you adopt those comments as your testimony today?
Yes.
I would like to move at this time to enter the document that's listed as on the Commission's website as comments and is titled Action Request Response from the Division of Public Utilities dated May 18th, 2020 into the record.
They are admitted.
Thank you. Mr. Einfeld, have you prepared a brief summary of your testimony?
Yes, I have.
Please go ahead.
The division recommends the Public Service Commission approve Dominion Energy Utah's proposed changes, updating and extending Tax Sur Credit 3 in DEU's Utah Natural Gas Tariff 500. If approved, as proposed by the company and recommended by the division, the updates to Tax Sur Credit 3 will be implemented through the new proposed rates, which will run from June 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021. Tax Sur Credit 3 amortizes the protected portion of excess deferred income tax, or EDIT, related to the depreciable assets of the company. The amortization of EDIT and refund to ratepayers is due because of the federal income tax law change signed by Congress in December 2017, known as the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The proposed and recommended rate adjustment to Tax Sur Credit 3 will properly refund the amortization of EDIT to ratepayers related to the period January 1, 2019 through March 1st, 2020, or to March 1st, 2020. This recommended adjustment to Tax Sur Credit 3 before the Commission today also incorporates an adjustment to correct a prior over-amortization of EDIT related to prior periods in the amount of $1,098,000 that was refunded to ratepayers. The proposed adjustment is scheduled to begin June 1st, 2020 and is set to expire May 31st, 2021, when the subject protected EDIT is anticipated to be fully amortized and returned to ratepayers. Any remaining EDIT balance at May 31st, 2021, either positive or negative, will be calculated and addressed to the infrastructure tracker account to ensure the proper amount is returned to ratepayers. I might add at this point, we did discuss with the company last week and propose that this adjustment be made at the conclusion of this amortization period, realizing that for us to guess the exact amount now to the penny would be highly unlikely. And that's what the company proposed through Mr. Stevenson is what we had discussed last week. With that said, the division believes the proposed adjustment to Tax Sur Credit 3 is just, reasonable, and in the public interest. And that concludes my statement.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Mr. Einfeld, and he is available for cross and questions from the Commission.
Ms. Clark?
The company has no questions for Mr. Einfeld.
Mr. Einfeld, I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. Does DPU feel confident that it can audit the infrastructure tracker true-up that is being proposed by the company?
Yes, and it's similar to adjustments we've done. The process is similar to adjustments we've done in similar dockets to this in the past, and I do have confidence that we can do that.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions. Mr. Jetter, you may call your next witness.
Thank you. The next witness the division would like to call is J.J. Alder, and he is sworn in. Are you with us, Mr. Alder?
I am.
An occupation for the record.
Yes, my name is J.J. Alder, and I am a utility analyst with the Division of Public Utilities.
Thank you. And in the course of your employment with the division, have you had the opportunity to review the filings made by Dominion Energy Utah in the 20-057-07 pass-through application docket?
Yes.
And did you assist in the creation and filing of an action request response in that docket dated May 19th, 2020?
Yes.
And would you adopt the action request response as part of your testimony today?
Yes.
Do you have a brief summary of the division's position in the pass-through application?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Excuse me, before you proceed, do you want to have those materials admitted into the record?
Yes, I would like to do that. So I'd like to make a motion to enter the action request response from May 20th, 2020 into the docket. Excuse me, the hearing for this docket.
They are admitted. Please proceed, Mr. Alder.
All right, thanks. Docket number 20-057-07, known as the 191 pass-through application, asks for commission approval for a decrease of $9.171 million in the commodity component and a decrease of $1.32 million in the supplier non-gas components of the natural gas rates for a net decrease of $10.491 million. The projected decrease in commodity cost is due primarily to a decrease in commodity costs from Wexpro production and market purchases, as well as savings due to Wexpro purchasing gathering facilities from MPLX, formerly Endeavor. For the test year ending May 2021, it is anticipated that approximately 52% of the total gas requirement will be satisfied from the Wexpro cost of service gas production, and the remaining 48% will be purchased through existing and future contracts, as well as spot market purchase transactions. Excuse me. If this docket is approved individually, a typical GS customer will see a decrease in their annual bill of $8.27, which is a decrease of 1.28%. The division believes that the requested changes are in the public interest and recommends that the proposed rate changes be approved with an effective date of June 1st, 2020. That concludes my summary. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Alder, I'd like to, do you have the action request response in front of you?
I don't, but I can. Hold on.
Okay. Let me know when you have it. I'd just like to clarify something that was discussed earlier about the decrease amounts.
Okay, I have it.
Okay. So what I'm looking at here is on page 2 under the bold docket number 20-05707. And if we go about halfway through that paragraph, it's the initial sentence there, but it's kind of down.
I see it.
It discusses the 9.171 million decrease for the supplier non-gas, for the commodity, and the 1.32 million for supplier non-gas, and the sum of those in this, I think, was similar to what was discussed earlier of 10.891 million. Is it correct that number should be corrected to 10.491?
Correct. Yes, that's true.
Okay. Hope that provides a little clarity. Do you know that let me ask this correctly. The $8.27 for an average GS customer on their bill, is that the correct number?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And I have no further questions. Mr. Alder is available for commission questions or cross-examination from Dominion Energy Utah.
Ms. Clark?
The company has no questions. Thanks.
Okay. I think I just want to make sure that I'm clear as well, very clear. So other than the correction to $10.8 million number, which was given in the application, I believe, but corrected today to 10.4 million around that number. Nothing that is reflected either in the exhibit or in any comment with respect to how the customer classes bills will be affected needs to be corrected. Is that correct, Mr. Alder?
Yes. I believe so.
Okay. And that is the only question I have. Thank you, Mr. Alder. Mr. Jetter, you can call your next witness.
Okay. Would you allow me to ask one more question of Mr. Alder, just to make sure that our record is correct? There's another spot in the DPU action request I'd like to.
Absolutely. Mr. Alder, I apologize. You're still under oath. Excuse me for interrupting.
Mr. Alder, if you turn to page 3 of the action request response and the first paragraph on page 3, the 10.891 million number shows up again, and should that also be corrected to 10.491 million?
Yes, that should reflect the 10.491 million.
Okay, thank you. And that was the only other question that I had.
Okay, Mr. Jetter, Mr. Alder, thank you. Mr. Jetter, please call your next witness.
Okay, thank you. The division would like next to call Vanna Venjimuri. Are you with us, Vanna?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Would you please state your name and occupation for the record?
I am Vana Venjimuri. I am working as Utility Analyst 2 at Department of Public Utilities.
Thank you. And in the course of your employment with the Division of Public Utilities, have you had the opportunity to review the application filed by Dominion Energy Utah in docket number 20-057-08, application for an adjustment to the daily transportation imbalance charge?
Yes, I have.
And did you also participate in the creation and the filing of the action request response filed in that docket on May 19th, 2020?
Yes, I have.
And I believe you've been on the call of this hearing with us, and with respect to the two places in that action request response where a number of $10,891,000 was referenced in error that was discussed earlier by division witness Mr. Alder, would you also agree that those two numbers should be changed to $10,491,000?
Yes.
Okay, and with those two changes, would you adopt the action request response dated May 19th, 2020, filed in the 20-057-08 docket as part of your testimony today?
Yes.
And have you prepared a brief summary of the division's position in the daily transportation imbalance charge docket?
Yes, I have.
Please go ahead.
Before you proceed, Mr. Jetter, do you want to admit your material?
Yes, I'd like to admit the action request response from May 19th, 2020 with the two corrections made just in this hearing for that $10 million number.
They are admitted. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
The docket number 20-057-08, the transportation imbalance charge was established to charge transportation customers for the supplier non-gas services that are being used on the company's natural gas distribution system. The calculation of this rate is based on the methodology approved in docket number 14-057-31, and it is to be adjusted with the each passing through filing and in the next general rate case. The proposed change represents an decrease from 8.489 cents per decatherm to 7.834 cents per decatherm, and is calculated based on the actual volumes of transportation customers for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2020. This rate applies to customers that are taking service under the transportation rate schedules, and any amount collected is credited to GS customers through the 191 account. This rate does not impact all transportation customers in the same way and applies if the customer's nominations are outside the plus or minus 5% daily tolerance limit. The transportation customers can minimize and possibly avoid this charge through accurate daily gas nominations. The division believes that the requested changes are in public interest and recommends that the proposed rate be approved with an effective date of June 1st, 2020. This concludes my summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Venjimuri. The division has no more questions, and Ms. Venjimuri is available for cross or questions from the commission.
Ms. Clark?
The company has no questions. Thank you.
And I just have one question, and this is for any of the division's witnesses. I'm curious about the division's plans for auditing the CERT Credit 4 that I read in one of the exhibits that is being credited through the 191 account. My understanding is that this is the first time that a tax credit will run through the 191 account with respect to these credits anyway. And I just want to make sure that the division has a plan for that and maybe hear how they plan to do that, because this is kind of a different mechanism. And that's for any of the witnesses can respond to that.
Justin, this is Jeff. While that was being presented, I thought maybe there would be a true up. I'm not as familiar with the surtax credit 4. I do know that it relates to EDIT also, but it relates to the unprotected portion of EDIT, which can be addressed differently under IRS rules. Perhaps we can work with Jordan, and if Jordan has any thoughts on this during this hearing, and address it similar, if it goes through the 191 account, the process to audit it and check the true-up calculation. I'm estimating a true-up calculation in CERT Credit 4 also would be addressed very similar to the CERT Credit 3 true-up. And I would be happy to entertain some thoughts from Jordan on that matter, if possible.
Okay.
Sure. This is Jordan.
I apologize. Oh, is this Mr. Stevenson or?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Mr. Stevenson, we'd like to hear from you to discuss.
Sure. Yeah. So Jeff is right regarding tax CERT Credit 4. It is an EDIT item related to the commodity-related cost, and it is an unprotected item, meaning we have discretion on how we want to treat that. So we matched it up with the commodity-related pass-through. Because it is included in the 191 account, that is a balancing account, so the balance will carry forward, and it will kind of automatically true up as we go. So the next time we file a pass-through, if there's any difference between what customers were amortized over the period versus what actually what we intended, the balance will remain in the 191, and the next time the company submits a filing, it will kind of automatically be included in those calculations. So as it relates to tax CERT Credit 3, it's a little bit different because we need to manually do a calculation and true it up and put it into an additional CERT credit in the tracker like we've proposed today, whereas tax CERT Credit 4, being in the pass-through account, will continue to be in that account until it is fully amortized. And that being said, I believe that it would be subject to all of the discovery that occurs in an audit of what goes through the pass-through when the division conducts those audits.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
Not sure if that helped answer the question.
Well, I just want to get some clarity. I only saw the CERT Credit 4 reference in the exhibits, and I didn't see a discussion about that. I don't think anywhere else. I just want to ask one final question to the division. Does the division feel or think that the way that the CERT Credit 4 is being handled is in the best interest of customers?
This is Jeff Einfeld. Based on Jordan's discussion and my understanding of the 191 audit and so forth, I do believe that it would be just reasonable and in the public interest for it to be addressed the way Jordan explained.
Okay, I appreciate that. Is there anything else before we adjourn?
Nothing more from the company.
And nothing further from the division.
Thank you very much, everyone. We are adjourned.
Before anyone hangs up, Kelly Peterson